Okay, guys, welcome to another podcast. This is Paris, Texas, the podcast. Every Monday we have a new guest. This week we have Aaron Swafford from PJ Trailers. A good friend of mine. We talk a lot about a lot of different stuff. We're very tech-minded, so we actually have spent the last 2 hours talking about various things. We probably could have made 3 podcasts in the time that we've been sitting here. But the way this works is we open every podcast with the same question. So I'm going to shoot this one right at Aaron.
What we got?
Are you a Parisian or are you a parasite?
I'm a parasite. What are you?
I'm a Parisian.
Parisian. Here's the thing. I've heard this question before, and I do have some thoughts on it. And mine, this takes me back to my youth. Whenever I grew up big in the music scene here. The skateboarding scene was really, really big as well. And there's a guy named Jordan Hackney who went through and started creating these videos of just them skateboarding and stuff like that. He first one he called syrup, but he called us parasites. And so that stuck with me because that was the first thing I ever heard. Parisian does sound classy, but I'm like, hey man, this is Texas. I'm a parasite. There's lots of mosquitoes.
So when did you originally move here?
Man, it was 86 actually. I was born in Tyler, Texas. My dad was a lineman, an electrician, worked on telephone poles and stuff like that. We lived in Russ, Texas at that point. Well, he got transferred up here just as a temporary job. He was actually getting ready to move us to, I want to say Fort Worth or something like that. But he got electrocuted, hit with like, this number's probably going to be wrong, but like 150, 200,000 volts. It was bad. I mean, burned him to a crisp, blew fingers off. I mean, it was...
Survived, though.
Survived. So, the day that he got electrocuted, that morning he found out, hey, I got a promotion, your family's being moved. And he's like, sweet, just the end of the week. And that right there actually kept us in Paris because he had to go to the hospital. And they had a good, there's a guy actually with OHP, the company, his name is Dirk. And I found out later, Dirk was actually one of my customers over at Precision. And found out later he actually helped my dad in recovery, which was crazy, small world.
And that's what you get in Paris, Texas, though. There's always
small world,
small town, small world. But there's charm to that as well.
Oh, completely agree.
Now, I just want to preface this, but like I asked that question not to divide us Parisians and parasites, but to more show people that like no one would have ever known that. No one would have ever known that you weren't from here. They would have always assumed that you were a Parisian. And also that like there's a story behind every person that is whether they're from here or not from here. So
that's true.
That's the reason I start with the question. I just wanted to let everybody know that. But that's awesome, dude. So you work at PJ Trailer.
Work at PJ Trailers, man, in the marketing department. Do a lot of videography stuff and then do some dealer support as well, helping them with technical aspects as well. Work with Mr. Ron Reed. He's my manager. Good friend of ours as well.
Yep, very good friend. I've done a lot of work with Ron. We've shot some short films together. And actually, you did all the audio work on our last short film that's coming out at the end of this month.
I am excited. In fact, I needed to hit you up on that. Where are we at on that?
So we got a rough cut. There's a rough cut of that done. Ron is in the process of buttoning up the final color grading and kind of getting a little shorter. We got a 3-minute window that we have to be within, and I was when I finished doing kind of the rough cut, we were a few seconds over. So we're kind of just doing the finessing of it, and then we still have to kind of wrap up the behind the scenes because you have to enter the contest that we're in. You have to have a behind the scenes.
That's the part I'm like super excited about.
I think I might be able to give you a sneak peek of the behind the scenes. Maybe after this.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. So, how long have we known each other?
Man, I'm going to say 2 months.
2 months? You think a good solid 2 months?
Well,
I think we knew of each other longer.
Yeah, a whole lot longer.
But we've only actually been probably friends for the past 2 months.
Maybe longer than that.
I can't even remember.
How long has it been since Liam came up there?
Oh, it's been longer than 2 months because that was last summer, wasn't it?
Yeah, because that's when we first started chatting.
That was last year.
Oh, was that last year?
Yeah, because he did those in the summer.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah, because once school started, we said we were going to do like 1 or 2 a week, but it like between his school and my work, we just weren't able to keep up with it.
Man, have y'all filmed a lot more this summer?
We've done like one. We've done more like what we were gonna say doing the school. We've done one or two. We just did one at Crawford's Hole in the Wall.
Oh man,
Yeah.
their bread pudding off the
Hey,
chains.
Liam got to make bread pudding.
No!
In the back. He loved it. It was amazing.
Did he keep the recipe?
She would not. We talked about that. She said it's guarded, lock and key. She wouldn't give it out.
Yeah, that is some good stuff. I'm gonna have to eat there this week.
Yep. It's amazing place. And I think we're lined up. We're actually our next episode is going to be with the Tony Corso.
What?
I know, it's kind of crazy.
Hey, he's a great photographer.
I know.
Videographer, and
I'm going to probably be taking as many tips as Liam's getting.
do you think now I know he flies a drone as well. Do you think he'd ever be into like first person drone racing or anything like that?
Okay, I don't know about him, but I am fascinated with that.
It's amazing.
I think we have potential to have a drone race competition here. There's so many abandoned buildings throughout Paris, Texas, and the ones that I've watched online are through some of them are in like football stadiums, but some of them are in abandoned buildings.
It's awesome.
It's amazing, and when they crash, those things are getting it.
Holy mackerel!
And when they crash, they're like $400 or $500 for a good, solid. They're smaller, but good solid racing drone. And when they crash, it's toast.
It's insane. Like I like to consider myself a good drone driver, but I do the little nano drone where you press the button and it does the flip for you.
I haven't played with that one.
Wow. Oh man, those are cool. See, those I really want to get a league together for those because it'd be like a little small room. But I would love to see a huge building like one of the abandoned buildings.
Yeah.
Even, what is that building that's downtown?
Gibraltar?
Yes.
I'm not quite sure how the racing drones work, but that'd be an awesome. Like if they could go up the elevator shaft and into other parts of it, it would be so cool.
Who do we need to talk to about that? Chip from...
Yeah, I guess Chip. I mean, I think first off, you need to have people that want to actually do it.
That's true. You know what? I think that if we made a hype video about it, it's kind of like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
Right. We got the pump track coming.
Yeah.
We just need a drone track. Right?
Hey, speaking of the pump track, I'm excited about the mountains that are coming with it. Did you notice that?
The little like moguls. They're almost like snow skiing moguls, but they're like bicycle moguls. Have you ever? I've never ridden one, but I've seen a lot of videos. Those one wheels. It's a one wheel skateboard. It has one wheel in the middle.
Okay.
I'll have to show you after this.
Wait. Is it like the bigger wheel?
Big wheel,
Yes.
and it's like an off-road skateboard.
Yes.
But it only has one wheel right in the middle. And they have like competition, like downhill racing competitions.
I would like seriously die doing that.
I think the pump track and a one-wheel skateboard would be epic. We could have races. And I think that's the idea behind the pump track is to have like little, races like that or bicycle races and have like little competitions. I think it'll bring a lot of people that want to do some different things to our town.
That's the thing. Paris is growing majorly, and seeing something like that come in just shows, the direction that we're headed. And I'm really excited about that. I mean, I've even heard they're supposed to be doing some stuff downtown as well. Have you heard any of that?
Oh yeah, I've been at all the meetings that we've been having recently about the downtown visionaries committee or whatever. And there's a lot of cool ideas. They're they're in the early stages of coming up with ideas.
Okay.
So nothing's actually physically happening. We're just trying to. The guys that did Sulphur Springs came to town and are doing like they're going to do up like mock drawings. They're coming back in like August, and they're going to do some mock drawings of what they think we could do potentially downtown to draw more people to it.
What do you think the chances are we'll get a bathroom like theirs?
I know that bathrooms have been discussed multiple times in many meetings. I don't know that we're going to copy their bathroom, but I think that we could come up with something that rivals them. But that is a really dope bath. I heard CNN did a spot on it at one point in time.
I did not know that.
The guy that designed that bathroom was in I think he said he was in Florida or something on another case, and he said he had CNN on his hotel. And lo and behold, he's like, all the stuff we did for Sulphur Springs, so like they did the brick roads and all the stuff they did, and the bathrooms were the things that made it on CNN. That's what he said, at least. I thought it was funny.
I ain't gonna lie. I haven't ever used their bathroom. I've seen it. I've looked in it, but I'm scared. I just can't do it.
What? I've been in it multiple times. I ain't scared.
I'm like looking around. Hey, what are y'all doing?
All right, I've brought your name up a couple times in the idea of doing this podcast, and multiple people have told me you started doing some funny videos with your wife, haven't you?
Oh man, hey Lacey.
Hey Lacey, that's what it's right. I've
Yeah.
watched them. Hey Lacey, and then you tell like little one-liner jokes, don't you?
That's the key. And it started off just to annoy her, to be honest. And then I saw that deep down she really appreciates those jokes. She loves them. But I've been telling her jokes since we've been together. We were high school sweethearts. She went to Cooper High School, which is our rival. I went to Chisholm, and I was always just telling her just dumb jokes. That's just what I do. Well, I was at work one day, and Stephanie O'Neill, she's like, "Hey, have you seen this new Snapchat filter?" And I was like, "That is the dumbest looking thing. I'm gonna have to try that out." So yeah, I started popping up around Lacey, just saying whatever I could get my hands on as far as a good joke. And
That's what I remember at the behind the scenes on the short film set was you told a bunch of just one-liner jokes. They were super funny. Keep everybody in good spirits.
that's the key. I believe in positivity as well. We were talking earlier about Chuck V. And
Gary V.
Gary V,
go.
not Chuck V. Whoever Chuck V is, you're welcome for the shout out.
Yep.
But honestly, lifting people up, staying positive, I mean that creates a better work environment. People are always enjoying being around you and things like that. And I mean, I just think that overall it does us all a better good. Just to lighten the mood in those. Speaking of, so yesterday, and this kind of goes along with it. We made a trip down to Bossier City. So my brother Neil, he works at Precision. He is the shop foreman there, but builds racing engines.
Precision here.
Yes, Precision Automotive. So he built a nasty engine. I'm gonna have to show you the video on it. And we're in the dyno room, and we do a pull on it. And long story short, we had an explosion. The engine didn't blow. We all thought the engine blew, but basically what it was a backfire. And we're using E85 fuel that's oxygenated. So it was just a deal where we hit a rev limiter, engine backfired. Well, that spark ignited fuel that had gotten thrown into a big exhaust outlet, and it literally blew the doors off of the dyno. And so I'm sitting there, and afterwards, after we realized, hey, nobody's hurt, the engine's not broke, dyno's broke, but I'm just like, man, you blew the doors off of it. The owner was just like, he wasn't happy, and I was just like, man, we just got to lighten the mood. It's going to be okay. Nobody's hurt. But, yeah, when we lift each other up, man, life's just so much easier.
So much better. Agree 100%. So, you've lived here how many years again?
Since I was about 1 or 2 years old, and then I moved to Seattle, and then moved to Austin. That would have been 2006, and then got back to Paris roughly about 2010.
So you've been here since 2010?
Yes.
So 18 years?
Or 8 years.
8 years. Wow, Broadway. I can do math.
Mathematical.
A genius right here.
Hey, 5 out of 4 people get fractions right.
Well, thank you for helping me out there.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So 8 years. That's cool. I lived here from when I was born till I was like 16, and then I moved off multiple times for about 8 years, and then I finally came back with a wife, and we started having children.
Children.
And how many kids do you have?
Got 2. Got a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Awesome.
Emma's the 6-year-old. She was big into Cinderella, so whenever we got pregnant with Ella, Emma just watched the movie Cinderella, and we're like, hey, Emma, you want to name her? Ella. So she actually named her sister.
Wow. You let her name her sibling. I don't know that I'd be brave enough to do that.
Well, if it was a bad name, it would have stuck. It'd been all right.
It'd been all right.
Yeah, then people would remember her.
That's true. Awesome. Okay, so you told me you moved up to Seattle for a bit, right?
Yeah.
What took you up to Seattle?
Music.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. So back in the day, talking about with Jordan Hackney and those guys, we had a band that was called Jolly Llama.
Wait a minute. Jolly Llama.
Jolly Llama.
If that kind of reminds me. Are you a Parks and Rec fan?
That's an amazing, amazing show. Chris Pratt is amazing.
So it makes me think of Mouse Rat.
Yes! The Mouse Rat.
So Jolly Llama, it sounds like the same, not the same band, but it's like the same idea of like
yes.
Jolly Llama. I like it. So is there still music out there from Jolly Llama?
There is, and well, we moved up to Seattle. Of course, young kids, we got these big dreams, right?
Oh yeah.
So we get up there. We did know some record label execs, all that cool stuff. Well, long story short, we didn't get picked up by anybody. Our vocalist, he got married, ended up moving back to Texas, and we started another band up there. The band was called Alchema.
Not as cool as Jolly Llama.
Oh, that's true. But, well, the cool thing with Jolly Llama was the fact that when people, heard the name, they're like, all right, that's something memorable, because you think about, like, the Dalai Lama, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't make that connection, but
now, yeah. So promoters, it was sad whenever they would record us, or I say record us, whenever they would have an event with us, or even like on the radio and stuff like that, it was the Jolly Llama Band. I mean,
they added an accent to it.
They added an accent. Oh, that was my Texas accent.
Oh, okay.
See, that's where you can't tell I'm really from Texas. I don't have as much. Hey, speaking of, so this kind of relates to my friend up in Seattle. So the vocalist in that band, his name is Noah. Noah and I have been writing back and forth as far as like just different music and stuff like that. He's got a studio and I've got a studio, and we'll basically go through and say, hey, here's the track, lay down vocals, da da da. So in my studio, I'll record guitars, drums, bass, keys, whatever we need to, and then he'll just throw down the vocals on it. Well, Noah is a very, very interesting guy. He apparently had a record deal in Japan. Yeah, it was with Sony Records. I haven't heard a whole lot on that, but our album that we had with him on, which Clear Channel is the one who runs all the radio stations as far as that goes, and we actually got in the top 5 and then actually hit the number 1 on the unsigned bands charts with him. And what was really cool, talking about the music being out there, was the fact that we were able to go through and, like, if you search for our CD, you can actually find it torrented. So, like, there's pirates that got our CD, and I'm like, I feel like I made an accomplishment.
That is pretty cool. I don't know that I've ever met a top hits unsigned charts band member before.
We we played with some really, really cool groups. There was one band, they did a song called Beer is Good and stuff. There was a band called Psycho Stick, and they're a comedy metal band. So, like, what? Yes. So going back to Mouse Rat,
Yeah.
It like you would go to these shows, and which they were on tour, and we subbed in I can't remember the name of the place. It was right there in Seattle. But anyway, yeah, these dudes had this set, and they would actually take a sombrero and throw it out in the crowd. And the whole goal, the song was called Sombrero, or this guy's got the sombrero. And basically the whole deal is you got a bunch of guys there moshing, etc., trying to yank off a sombrero from a guy.
Okay.
And no joke, by the end of it, it's like all in shreds and stuff like that.
The sombrero is.
The sombrero.
Oh.
So we experienced some cool stuff that way. But yeah, you can still find the music online as far as both Jolly Llama and Alchema. I may be able to find a burned CD because we were that cool.
I think that needs to resurface.
You know what? The Alchema stuff I'd be happy with. I don't know if I'll be happy with the Jolly Llama stuff. I went back and listened, earlier this summer, man, Paris got hit with the tragedy. Brock Baker, he was the drummer for a band called Shallow Edge, and he passed away. And dude, I look back and I've been going back and listening to some of their music, and man, the amount of talent that they had was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I was always grateful to work with those guys and to produce them and things like that. But man, Paris has got a lot of good music, man.
Yeah, there's a lot here. I wish we had a bigger music scene. Like I don't know.
It used to be booming.
I just don't know why we lost it. I don't know why there's not more like open mic nights or like just more places having more live bands. And I think it's a little hard because, again, we go back to the downtown. We need a better nightlife downtown. Yeah. And I think if we build that nightlife, then there'll be more opportunity for more bands. And I know there's a couple key people in town that are working really hard on trying to get some bands opportunity to play. I know Chad Lindsay's one that's been.
Oh man, I love
He's been
Chad.
fighting, trying to get some supporters to build like a not an open mic night, but like a band night down at the Burnout by Paris Baby.
Yeah.
And that's something that may still happen. Might happen next summer, but he's working really hard on something like that. I really do think we have an opportunity to build our music scene here in Paris, Texas.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, there's a lot of talent that goes through these schools. You know, with drum lines and things like that. I mean,
yeah.
It's insane the amount of talent. There's another guy, his name is Connor Pickle. Dude's a phenomenal drummer as well. He's moved off, and I'm like, why? I need to hear you play.
Now, you've already helped me a lot I've learned a lot before this podcast on just recording stuff, but you help a lot of people out when it comes to recording music and recording audio and stuff like that. And we've already talked about how you helped with the short film, which was amazing. We've never had that kind of help on any short film we've ever made.
Yeah, I try to help anybody I can, whether it's churches or individuals. You know, most of what I do musically now is more collab work as far as that goes. And then I work for different studios and labels and stuff where they'll send me tracks and then I mix everything down and then send it back to them.
That's amazing.
And then a lot of times I'll actually travel off to produce the bands as well as also help with audio and stuff as far as wiring up a church and things like that.
Awesome. So have you traveled much in your life?
I have, and I'm on the person of interest list.
What?
So, yeah. So back in my music days traveling, I had a band in the UK. There was a band there called Aliases. And it was cool because...
sorry, pin in it. Don't go leave there. How many bands have you been in?
5.
Oh, that's not too bad.
No.
Okay, band Alias UK. Go.
Yeah. So what was cool was there was a band whenever I was growing up I used to listen to. They're called Sixth. And the guitarist in the band, his name was Penn. Incredible guitarist. Dude's like insanely like creative. So I get in touch through YouTube. I had I had a girl named Leah reach out to me and she's like, hey, we should do some collab stuff. And I was like, sure, you know, I'm always down to do some collab work. Well, she at the time was working with a couple of other guys in this band called The Nameless. Well, they didn't make much traction. She's like, hey, I really want to start up a band, you know, with this guy. His name is Penn. And I'm like, I know that name. And she's like, yeah, you know, he's played in Sixth. And I'm like, wait, like the Penn? And so we got to talking and they did some writing, sent me over the tracks. I laid down vocals on them. Sent them back to them, and they're like, this is exactly what we're looking for. Let's make this happen. So we set out a timeline. You know, hey, you know, by this time I'll come over to the UK and I'll track vocals, and then I'll probably spend 3 or 4 months there, and then I'll come back to the States. Well, I landed in the UK. It was like a 16-hour flight. I literally land at Heathrow Airport. I get off of the plane. You know, I've got my backpack. Of course, you know, this is when I had my big long beard and all that. So I'm like standing in line for immigration. Literally, I'm just going from one plane to another. So I was going from Heathrow in London, and then they were going to fly me over to Manchester. Well, all of a sudden they're like, Mr. Swafford, is there a Mr. Swafford here? And I'm like, hey, that's me. I'm right here, you know. So they're like, we need you to come with us. And I'm like, oh, sweet, you know, I'm coming over here for this band. First, you know, this is royal treatment is what this is. And so I go into this, you know, hallway and I'm like, man, there's nobody here. Maybe this is a shortcut. So then we get to this room and they're like, hey, put your stuff here. We need to screen it. And I'm like, all right, yeah, they're just screening me before I get on this other plane. Then they set me down in this room and I'm like, all right, I'm supposed to be like getting on another plane. Maybe it's just like holding area. They interrogated me. I was marked as a person of interest and somehow ended up on the no-fly list. Well, they got notice that, hey, there's an Aaron Swafford who's on the no-fly list who is, yeah. So they interrogated me for 8 hours. And what was wild was Leah and Penn were at the Manchester airport waiting on me. Well, that plane I think was supposed to land at like 11 o'clock their time. 11:45, they're like, the plane's been here, but where is he at? So they called over to the Heathrow airport, and they're like, hey, we're looking for this passenger. And they're like, oh, he got on the plane. He should be there. They were trying to let them think that everything was normal. And at the same time, I'm over here being interrogated, saying, well, who do you know? How do you know this person? Have you ever dealt with explosives? I mean, just crazy off-the-wall questions. And, I ended up calling my mom. It was about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning here. And I was just like, I'm just letting you know I'm on my way back. And, yeah, they blacked out my passport. And whenever they took me back to the plane, granted, I wasn't in handcuffs or anything like that, but I felt like, my rights were completely stripped away. So, yeah, they sent me back, and that's whenever I learned that I was on the no-fly list, et cetera, and that I wasn't supposed to have even made it that far. But the coolest thing about the whole story, and this is maybe just, I don't know, I thought it was pretty hilarious when it happened. So, all this negative stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
I get back to the U.S., and, they didn't give me my wallet back. They didn't give me my passport or anything. They had somebody actually sitting near me on the airplane to make sure I didn't do anything funny, they said. So I land in the U.S. U.S. Customs agents are waiting on me. And I'm like, this is not good. So I walk up, and they're like, Mr. Swafford? And I was like, yeah. They're like, here's your passport, what were you doing in the U.K.? And I was like, well, I'm just going over there for a band, And they're like, all right, well, we're glad to have you back in the U.S. Good to have you. Here's your stuff. See ya. That was it. But it was just the craziest thing. I've never.
So did you never find why are you blacklisted?
No idea.
Are you still blacklisted?
I'm not blacklisted per se. I do a lot of flying still, but every single time I go through the airport, it's Mr. Swafford, please step aside for a random screening, and they swap my hands and all that stuff. So yeah. Ask Ron. Ron saw that recently whenever we flew. And
That's nuts, dude.
It pretty much anytime you're going to fly with me, plan to get there about 30 to 45 minutes earlier than you already were going to get there. Because we're going to go through extra screening. They're going to search everything I have.
That is a crazy story, man. I can't believe that. So you never actually got to go do work for them in London? Did you call? Did they understand when you called?
Well, they wouldn't actually let me call them. I had to send them an email. And let me tell you, an English keyboard versus UK keyboard is completely different. I couldn't type worth anything on it. It was bad. So, yeah, I had to send them a message. And, they had their, whatever, I want to call him a security guard, but they had an officer there with me when I was sending the message. And he had to read the message before.
Make sure there wasn't code in it?
Yeah. And basically, he's like, basically you can just say, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it, and that's all you can say. And that's literally what I wrote was, got detained, going back. And that was it.
And so they never worked with you again?
Well, I'm still in communication with them. The band did great. Band got signed. Basic Records is who we got signed with, and ended up just having to let another vocalist take my spot. And
man, that's kind of crazy, because who knows what could have happened.
God had other plans for me, man.
So is there another Aaron Swafford out there, and they're just confusing you for another? Have you ever met another Aaron Swafford?
Yeah, actually, funny story. Yes, there is another Aaron Swafford. Now, that's one of the reasons now, if you look at my name on Facebook, it's Aaron K. Swafford.
I did notice that.
And that's the reason is I want to establish myself as separate from whoever this guy is. So I get emails, my email is aaronkswafford@gmail.com.
Right.
I get emails from another Aaron Swafford, and there's a third Aaron Swafford is what we found out. This dude is a party animal. The other Aaron sends the emails over to me. He's like, was this you or was this the other Aaron? And it's like, hey, man, it was good to see you in the Caribbean. Let's go shoot some stuff up next time. Oh, gosh. And I'm like, I know who that was.
I think it should be mandatory for everybody in the world that has the exact same name to be friends.
I agree. So we are friends on Facebook.
So I have a small resemblance to this. Just on the Facebook note. So I go by Broadway. Most people, here's my rule of thumb: is if you're my friend, then you'll call me Broadway, because that's just what I go by. My mom still calls me my first name, which is Dustin. So on Facebook, they won't let you just have one name.
Right.
I can't be Bono. Apparently, can't be Bono on Facebook. But so what I did is I reversed it. So my last name is my first, and my middle stays the same, and then my first is my last. So it's Broadway Scott Dustin. So technically, my first name is Dustin, middle name Scott, Broadway. But my friends call me Broadway. And there's a few people out there that still, I don't know, feel like obligated to call me Dustin.
D-Town, what's
And I'm
up?
like, listen, that's fine. You can call me Dustin, but just know that my friends call me Broadway.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to be licensed under, you just go on with your bad self. But so and then my company name, my brand is I Am Broadway.
Yeah.
Well, there is a rapper that is I Am Broadway.
What?
Right. So you can look up, and we've battled, we've never actually spoken, but like he has I Am Broadway on a few things, and I have I can't have IamBroadway.com because he's already got IamBroadway.com. So my website is IamBroadway.me. And then I have it on a bunch of social media. I have locked in I Am Broadway, so he can't be it. So at some point he changed his name, his rapper name, but he still goes by I Am Broadway, like is a person. I don't fully understand it, but I mean, so there's that little kind of. I've felt like because he's a rapper, I've almost wanted to reach out to him and be like, listen, let's do some work. I'll come make a music video or something with you. Let's make this happen. But that's my kind of similar incidents where there's another I Am Broadway out there.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty crazy.
I'm gonna have to look him up afterwards.
Yeah, I mean he's a rapper. You know, I don't know a lot about rappers, but he's very authentic rapper.
I'm taking on rapping. I'm gonna start writing rap.
Can you give us a little freestyle real quick?
I sure can. I won't call it a freestyle, but I will play back some audio that I recorded of me rapping.
Okay, everybody tune in. Is this your first rap song?
Well, it's not really my song, but it's for Noah up in Seattle. He's yeah. Well,
Was this the first time people are gonna hear it? There you go, guys. An exclusive premiere of Aaron's first rap song.
Well, it's Linkin Park, but you know.
Oh well, you sang it though. That was your voice.
And I never realized how Texan I sounded until I started rapping. And I was like, that dude's from Texas.
That's awesome, dude. Well, those are some really cool stories, dude. You've lived kind of a crazy life. I'm excited to be able to be here and hear your story. Again, the reason we do this podcast is because I am just fascinated with people's backstory and how they got to be here and where they've traveled to and stuff like that. So thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. You guys don't know this, but we've been here for 4 hours, I think. 3 to 4 hours. So
modifying the studio.
Yeah, we kind of let me give you a little visual. Let me explain the visual here. So we're trying to get the audio just right because I'm new to this audio game. I've been doing video for a long time in my life, but I'm new to the podcasting audio realm, and me and Aaron were sitting here trying to figure out what we need to do. So we're sitting at a conference table, and we've got how many? What do you think? 6 or 7 couch cushions, like set up in like a castle. Like we're literally inside of a couch cushion castle.
It's a fort. Boys only.
Boys only, right? Because we're trying to deaden the sound. So because in this room before we started recording it, it sounded super echoey, and we were trying to figure out why it was doing that. So we basically built our own sound studio here on a desk with couch cushions. So that's what happened the 2 hours prior to us starting this podcast. And then literally we said it at the front end, but we had so many discussions about random things prior to even me hitting record that we probably could have made 2 or 3 podcasts prior to starting this podcast. So it's been a day. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. don't forget to come next Monday. Again, I just want to say this. We mentioned a bunch of different companies and a bunch of different places around Paris, Texas. We are not sponsored. I am not sponsored to say any good things or bad things about anybody. It was straight from our opinions and our hearts. It's either something we really love. I generally try not to talk negative about anybody.
Yeah.
So I think all of them were positive things. We love the places that we talk about on this town. We love our town. That's why I'm even starting this podcast, because I'm such a huge parasite that I just love the city I'm from. And I'm just excited. And again, thank you, Aaron, for coming on. This was a blast.
Man, appreciate you having me. I'm excited to see who is on next Monday. Is that still a mystery?
Yeah, that's still a mystery. There's a handful of people I've got picked out, and you guys are just going to have to I'll give hints. Here's the deal. I started a Facebook group. It's called Paris, Texas, a podcast. You can either go to my I Am Broadway and find it, or you can look it up. Just Paris, Texas. Look it up on Facebook, and I will drop sneak peeks and hints to who's coming up next on that group. And that's going to kind of be my main form of communication when it comes to this podcast. I'll even try. I'm working on to where I can try and share links to the podcast. The idea is that this podcast should be available on all platforms. I primarily use Anchor as my app. Again, they're not paying me to say this. It's just an app that I have found that makes it really easy to upload podcasts. I upload it to one site, and then Anchor does the work for me. They send all of that one podcast to all podcasts. So it should be on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, and everywhere else that there are podcasts. But in the way they do it, sometimes it takes a little longer for the first initial one to sign up. So it may take 2 or 3 weeks for Google to see that it's a podcast. But once they've figured out that I have a podcast, it should be available everywhere. So if you're not seeing it, granted, this is the first couple of podcasts that I put out. It may take a while. It will eventually show up. And once it shows up, it'll have all of the ones that we recorded. We put them out every Monday, so stay tuned. Next Monday, there'll be a new podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to go to my Facebook group, and you can leave a comment or leave a message there. Or you can go to I Am Broadway and leave a message there. If anybody wants to look for you, do you have any kind of handles?
Just search for Aaron K. Swafford, and you will find me.
Aaron K. Swafford, not the other Aaron Swafford.
Yeah, you
gotta have the K.
Gotta have the K.
Okay.
Yeah, use the handle Aaron K. Swafford, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, etc.
And we talked about this, but he's been putting out some hilarious Snapchat?
It's Instagram, really.
Instagram stories, right?
Well, it's just a regular post. I'm keeping them on there. That way they don't disappear.
Well, you can make a playlist.
I saw that.
I'll show you how to do that, because Instagram stories are being pushed harder by Instagram than the others. So they may see more people on stories. All right, thank you guys. We're done keeping you here. See you next week, Monday. Paris, Texas, out.